One man with one microphone and one awesome podcast. Welcome to the Trailer Music Composers Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Trailer Music Composers Podcast. Now, for those of you who don't know, I have been advertising an audiobook on Facebook and Instagram. The audiobook's kind of, the premise behind the book is like, for those of you who still don't know that trailer music is a thing, and there are lots of people who do. You know, I still talk to people. Well, not so much recently, but I still talk to people and tell them what I do, and they say, "Oh wait, so it's not the music from the film used on a trailer," because so many people still don't realise that trailer music is an actual thing. So the book is kind of like aimed at kind of highlighting this and also explaining the industry and how it works and, you know, how you can make money, etc., etc. The end game for me is ultimately to get more people doing the courses. You know, I'm not going to lie about that. More people doing the courses, more people educating themselves about how to become trailer composers, then going out and making a living doing it. That's the end game. A byproduct of advertising on these platforms is you get a tremendous amount of feedback from people on Facebook, specifically Facebook. You know, feedback that you don't necessarily ask for, obviously, but, you know, you're advertising, so you come to expect it. Some of it's lovely, some of it's not so lovely. One of the interesting things about it, though, is I obviously try not to read it because it would really affect my mood if I read some of those comments. One of the comments I did read a couple of them. It was flagged to my attention, one of the comments, and one of the comments I read, I thought, you know, that would make an excellent podcast episode. So thank you to the chap who commented saying this thing. I'm paraphrasing. It's too late to get into trailer music. The market's oversaturated. So thank you to that chap, because it's given me some content to talk to you about. And I think that's a really interesting question. Is it too late to get into trailer music? Now, before I give you my obvious answer to that question, I want to take you back to 15-year-old me. I wanted to be in a band, you know, not be a rock star per se, but, you know, I was heavily inspired by Billy Corgan, shall we say, from the Smashing Pumpkins, that is. And there was a TV show, and it was about this band making it. I can't remember what the show was called, but throughout the show, they kind of highlighted basically that if you're going to be in a band, you're going to get done over by a record label, you're not going to make any money, and you're going to start back where you came from, which is in your squalid little home. You know, that type of idea. You know, you're going to fail if you're going to try being a musician. At the time, that really scared the living daylights out of me, because up until that point, I thought, you know, I want to make being a musician, I want to make a go of that. I want to do it. You know, at the time, that was manifesting as being a front man of a band, or at least in a band, anyway. And it scared me. It scared me not because that it was a possibility, and not because that has happened to people. It scared me because it made me question my own dream. It made me question what I wanted to achieve in my life. Was it really worthwhile? Was it a waste of time? Is money the end game, you know? And it filled me with fear. Thankfully to say, the fear didn't stop me. And I pursued that dream. Yes, it changed. It went from being in a band to being sort of a film composer, to being a jingle writer, to what I ended up being, which is a trailer music composer. And I'm very blessed to say a pretty successful one as well. So this question of, or not even a question, it's too late to get into the trailer music industry. This question sparked up that teenage me. And I thought to myself, actually, the issue here is fear. It's not fact. And it's not, you know, I don't think it's even anger. It's fear. It's people feeling scared. Because one of the questions people ask me often, because obviously I teach people trailer music through the Trailer Music School, and I teach people a whole host of music, aimed at sync and licensing and placements through Protege. I pretty much give away how I write everything and anything on Protege. You'll see me write all manner of things, from epic hip hop, slow burn, horror, the whole shebang. You'll see me do that on Protege. And I do not hold back about what I tell you. And people ask me, but aren't you just training your competition? And again, it goes back to this idea of fear. I can't speak for anyone else's experience, but my experience as a professional musician, especially in the kind of formation of my career, was that there was a lot of, not necessarily in your face, but there was a lot of insinuation that you were going to be done over and that people were going to steal your music, steal your clients, and basically abuse you as a copyright holder. This fear was injected into me when I was studying music, that actually, everyone's out to get you and everyone's out for themselves. And it was, again, it filled me with fear. And if being a full-time trailer composer has taught me anything, it's that that's all wrong. Like I said, based on my experience, there's always people that are going to be have dubious intentions. But what we're doing here is we're trying to change that. There is more than enough work to go around. And if you generate and create a sense of community and support and of love, I know it sounds all hippie and whatever, but I don't care. It's true. If you give out love, that's what you will get back. If you give out support, that is what you will get back. And that's what I'm trying to create here. And that's what Vic and I are trying to create with Protege and Blue Pearl. We're trying to create the sense of community and support. We're in this together as composers. I'm not going to deny it. When early on in my career, when the other composers on labels I worked for got placements, I would feel tremendously jealous. Why are they getting it, not me? And that was all stemming from that fear that there isn't enough work to go around. And also this idea that if you get work, you're taking work from somebody else. And I just don't buy into that at all. Because you've got to think of it like this. When we first, when trailer music first came out, think about how many films were being produced in a year. Think about how many video games were being produced in a year, how many trailers each of those had. And now you think about, because of the streaming services, because of online, because of all the TV channels, because of all this, because of all that, yes, the fees were probably higher back then, but there is so much work to go around. So much work. So, in a really roundabout way to answer that question, or not even question, statement, it's too late. Is it too late to get into the trailer music industry? My answer is no. There is no better time than the present. In this whole year, in this year that I have done this podcast, I have seen people contact me very early on, and say to me, actually it's a year and a half this podcast has been going, reach out to me right at the beginning saying, thanks for all the information, I'm going to pursue trailer music. And then I see them getting placements. And then I see them releasing albums with libraries, which is a beautiful thing to behold. Other people finding their own success. It's kind of like life, really, or at least my idea of life is that we're all here for a very, very specific reason. We're all here for our specific purpose. And, most of that purpose is trying to find that purpose, admittedly. A lot of us don't find that purpose, or at least they have found it and second guessed it because of fear that has been spread around. Now, I want you to kind of think about that question yourself. Is it too late to get into the trailer music industry? Because if I take that question and say, okay, well, if it's too late for a new person to come in with new work, it's obviously too late for me to produce any more albums because it's already saturated. Surely, that's the logic, isn't it? Or you could say no, because now there's only enough work for the composers who are already in place. That speaks of fear of somebody scared of losing their position, which I get. I'm not judging anyone who is scared of losing their position or losing their work or losing their patch. But, I've got 3 very, very young kids, and one of the hardest lessons as a father for me to teach them is the importance of sharing. Children will often go to take something to keep it for themselves. This is mine, no one else has it. But sharing with other people, as with kids, it doesn't diminish what you have, and it usually greatly expands it. Seeing my students and mine and Vic's students get placements, even just getting attention from libraries, fills me with so much joy. Okay, maybe looking on the most cynical aspect, maybe they win a trailer that I was up against them with, for, I should say. Who cares? It's like, okay, maybe eventually I stop winning trailers. Well, then maybe my path is changing. Or maybe I've gotten so sort of stuck in my ways that I've lost the fun of play. And I've lost the joy for it. I had this with teaching. I used to teach guitar. And a lot of the teachers, when I first started, were very, very cynical. No one never practices, there's hardly any talented kids or kids willing to put any time in. And I thought, oh, really? This is terrible news. And then when I started teaching, I was like, hey, these kids are awesome. They're just not being addressed properly. You've got to focus on people's joy and focus on their love. Sorry, it sounded like I was crying then. I may or may not have been. No, I'm not. I just got something stuck in my throat. With guitar teaching, it was kind of like, well, I'd say to the kids, well, what do you want to learn to do? And some would say, I want to do my grades, which for other countries that don't have grades is like tiered exams to show how good you are on an instrument, which I like the idea of for those of us who are inclined towards achievement. But for those of us who are inclined towards enjoyment, sometimes the grades weren't always the best thing. And some of them would say, you know what, I want to learn how to play a Muse song. And I'd say, piece of cake. Well, not necessarily. Some of them are quite difficult to play, but, there's always ways you can teach a song that are applicable to any level of playing, even if it is just root notes played on the bar. But the act of them playing and enjoying it gave me pleasure. I enjoyed seeing my students enjoy what they were doing, and that still carries through now. I am very, very happy to bring new talent and new faces and new people into the industry, because at the very worst, my competitiveness kicks in and I produce more work and they will make me better. It's like, and at the best, everybody wins. I just think we're faced too often with fear and anger. We see it all in the news every single day. Oh, no. That's why I never watch the news or read it or listen to it in any way, shape or form, because all it does is fill me with fear and anger. And I don't need that stuff. I want to go into my work with passion and enjoyment and fun. And I want to go into teaching with the same thing. And that's why I've always tried to show people as transparently as possible how I do what I do, so that you understand. There is no sort of magic art to this. Although I think my slogan for the Trailer Music School was the art of trailer music. Whoopsie. I mean art in air quotes, people often like to disguise something so it becomes more difficult for new people to come in. There are formulas and formats that you can use. Blueprints, guys, there are tick boxes you can follow that will make you be able to create a trailer track from scratch, from start to finish, and produce an absolute world-class piece of music. That doesn't diminish its beauty just because it's sort of writing by numbers at all. We are not just artistes. We are craftspeople. We are skilled in what we do, and knowing how to do it doesn't diminish the art of it at all. So if anyone tries to fill you with this idea of fear that there's not enough work, or fear that someone's going to take your copyright, fear of this, fear of that, remind yourself you cannot live in fear. Oh, this is getting a bit philosophical, isn't it? You cannot live in fear, because that fear will stop you doing those things you truly want to do and that you truly know you are here for. So guys, do not listen to the naysayers. If you want to do trailer music, just do it. Just do the stuff you want to do and that you're passionate about and that fills you with curiosity and enjoyment. Sometimes, yes, that will diminish because life is cycles. You might have a good day, you might have a bad day. That's all part of it. But deep in you that music is your thing. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I am very aware of that feeling. Music is my thing. Yes, I love other creative projects. I absolutely love other creative projects, but music is my thing. And that is the main channel that all my creativity is going to go through. And I know you feel that burning desire for music as well. That's why you've sat listening to me rambling on for however many minutes it's been. Don't give in to fear. And definitely don't read negative comments on Facebook. or unless you can turn it into some kind of creative prose, like a podcast like this one. And you're all entitled to your opinions, but this one is my opinion. If you want to do trailer music, there is more than enough work to go around. You just show up, and you show what makes you, you. In your music, of course. Right, guys. Thank you for listening. You are absolute legends. I appreciate you listening absolutely no end. I love the fact week in, week out, you guys are listening to this podcast, and I hope you're enjoying the kind of like change in pace and the change in formats. It's a lot more fun for me to have lots of different things going on. Also because sometimes it's quite hard to think of things to talk about, but having the group calls, having the banter show with Kieran and Cody, I've also, having the interviews, I've also got an interesting one coming up where I'm interviewed by a fellow composer who she is more in the score world, the contemporary dance world. She wanted to know about trailer music, so I was like, hey, let's do a podcast, and it's awesome. So you guys will hear that in a few weeks. I hope you had a nice week, guys. I hope you continue to have a nice week, and do not give in to fear. Just do the stuff you want to do, guys. If it's trailer music, rock on.